Tight end class: Juwan Johnson from the Saints, Mike Gesicki, Tyler Conklin, Zach Ertz, Austin Hooper, Tommy Tremble, Mo Alley Cox, Kylan Granson. Not the strongest tight end group, but I feel like we don't really get strong tight end classes. Is there anybody there that really intrigues you out of that bunch, Dalton?
I find Gesicki interesting, if only because he was their third leading receiver for the Bengals last year. And every time Joe Burrow talks about what he wants for this roster and he talks about the core of it, he mentions Jamar Chase, he mentions T. Higgins, he mentions Trey Hendrickson. And then at the end, he throws Mike Gesicki's name in there too. And it seems like he really liked throwing to Gesicki this year. There's a debate, about how much of a true tight end he is, with as much as he's flexed out and he's really kind of a big receiver who can do a lot of things on the outside and in the slot. But Burrow mentions Gesicki a lot when it comes to the core of the Bengals offense especially. And it seems like right now he's kind of winning the battle, right, when it comes to, trying to keep this core together. And T. Higgins getting franchise tagged, and they're still negotiating now if they can get Gesicki back on a reasonable price. Maybe they need to add one more slot weapon in the draft, maybe in the middle rounds, and then obviously build a defense. But I just find his situation so fascinating because right now it feels like Joe Burrow's trying to take control of what's going on with the Bengals in this roster construction, and Gesicki gets mentioned almost every time that he brings it up. I think him maybe coming back to Cincinnati is a fascinating situation to look at. And then what his actual market is going to be. You're talking about in the regular season a guy at tight end who had the 8th most catches and the 10th most yards. He was 18th in receiving grade. So he is a solid player for the role that he plays, and whether or not he's back in Cincinnati, I think is actually a pretty big story.
I look at Zach Ertz, and the guy's 34, but he played in and started 17 games last season for Washington. And it doesn't seem like he's going to retire. It feels like he's going to keep it going. And so those teams that we like to project either Colson Loveland or Tyler Warren to. I'm not saying that Zach Ertz is a better option than Colson Loveland or Tyler Warren, certainly moving forward in the future. But the Colts, right, like we talk, you want to go into the draft having ultimate flexibility. And you do that by handling or raising the floor of some of your biggest roster weaknesses. So a team like the Colts, a team like the Denver Broncos, the Los Angeles Chargers, I think they should all be interested in Zach Ertz for how well the veteran played last year and how healthy he was, how long he was able to play throughout that season. So he's the one that I'm watching as the veteran who he's still got some juice left in him. And I think that those three teams are big-time targets for them. I also look at Juwan Johnson. Maybe is he going from the Saints to the Broncos, the Sean Payton connection there with being able to bring him in and not feel, again, as desperate to draft a tight end in the first round if they feel like a guy that they like a little bit better or have higher on their board has fallen to them. So those are the two options that I like there. At the tight end spot. I think the Mike Gesicki call out is obviously a good one as well, because I wonder if Burrow's going to win. You got to feel like he is, because if you're paying Burrow, you owe it to then the investment that you're making in that franchise caliber quarterback to surround him with what he needs to compete at the very highest level. And if he's somebody who's pounding the table for, hey, over the last couple of years, we have watched good defensive players leave. Joe Burrow has watched the other side of the ball get decimated with those big-time contributors for them leaving and going elsewhere. And I think that he is really putting his foot down and saying, no, we, for one, shouldn't be doing this anymore because we're in a winning window. Two, don't let that happen on my side of the ball. So I wonder if he is going to go back to Cincinnati there because of that.